The next caller we have is Jenny from Louisiana. Jenny, can you hear us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. How can we help you today, Jenny?
The question I have is, at what point, if you don't have solid proof, but you have enough proof that you pretty much know that your spouse is having an affair, at what point do you approach them about that?
Is the spouse still at home?
Yes,
Okay.
but in a separate room.
In a separate room. And what makes you so sure that he's having an affair?
Because he went out of town this past weekend, was supposed to go to a convention, a church convention, and he never showed up at the convention, but he did go to the hotel. And I noticed on a credit card purchase there was a credit card purchase this past week at an adult store.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so
and I asked him about the charge because I wanted to make sure it wasn't bogus, but his excuse was he was making a purchase for a friend at work.
Yeah, right. So what makes you think he's having an affair? Now realize what you're saying is not good. But what makes you think
the fact that he went?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Because he ditched out on the conference, and then he had already had the hotel room reserved whenever he went to that store.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't go to that store.
All right. So what I'm saying is, when you think there might be other possibilities, for example, what if he was hanging out at strip clubs and coming back to that room? What if he got some kind of a thing, some kind of porn, for example, and brought it back to his room and put it in his computer so he could, be enticed or titillated by that? What I'm hearing you say is apparently he's doing something, and so I'm asking you, what makes you think it's necessarily an affair?
Because as far as in the home, there's only one DVD player as far as for movies. And the hotel he went to, I don't know that hotels have DVD players or anything, so that was my assumption.
Mm-hmm. Does he have a laptop?
But I noticed no, sir.
Okay.
And sometimes in the house, he'll be on his phone, and then when I'm walking by, he'll close out whatever he's in.
So he apparently is up to something, without a doubt.
Yes, he's up to something. He is. And we are separated, but, we're in the same house.
Right.
But you're assuming that it's an affair other than porn.
Or strip clubs or whatever else.
Correct, because we've had this issue before.
With an affair?
It's been years, but we have.
An affair before? And did he do the same kinds of things then?
No, sir, he didn't do the same thing, but he did actually leave the home at that point.
Okay.
So he was living with somebody, a friend of his, which I knew who the friend was, but he did his own thing. So I can't really say everything is, falling in line, but we did have an affair issue before.
Okay. Then here's my suggestion. I would, if I were doing this, and of course you've got to make your own decision. I can't tell you what to do. But I would sit down with him and say, look, based on the fact that there's money missing, based on the fact that I know that you did not go to the convention, that you had the hotel room, you went there, but you did not go to the convention, I know that something's going on. Now, we can do this where that you just tell me what it is and we can deal with it like adults. But if you deny that anything's going on, but you don't have good explanations, like you tell me that you bought something in an adult store for somebody you work with when you'd gone to a church convention, you can just say, I don't believe that, I don't buy that. And therefore, you can be honest and tell me what's going on so we can deal with it like adults in some fashion. Or if you continue to do things that are questionable, I won't want to do it, but I'll be forced to have to do some examination to find out what you're up to. I don't want to do that. I want us to deal with this like adults. You see, we always advise against snooping, but if you're gonna have to do it to know what's going on, I think that it makes more sense to tell them up front that you're gonna have to do it, so that at least they're not blindsided. It's like, I'm telling you I don't want to do it. I'd rather we deal with this. Please understand, though, that I'm going to have some understanding and knowledge of this. And it could be an affair. It could be what we call a short-lived affair. Now, I'm not trying to put ideas in your head. I'm just saying this may not be a particular one person that he is enamored of, that he's got some kind of emotional connection going on. The kind of thing you're describing could equally be true if a guy's picking up women or going to see a prostitute or whatever else. Now, I'm not saying he's doing that. Don't misunderstand. I'm just saying at this point, based on what you know, there's a whole lot of possibilities out there. And it's going to be hard for you to confront him about, I know you're having an affair, if you don't know that he's having an affair. Now, you know he's doing something. And so confronting him about that makes sense.
And I'm working on my pies, and I've even asked a few people on the secret Facebook page, what are your suggestions? Do I address this? And they keep saying, no, just let it be. But part of me cannot let it be because it is just tearing me up inside, not knowing.
Right. And I'm sure they mean well, but understand that the people in the group are good people trying to save their marriages, but they're all speaking from their own experience or the experiences they've seen in others, which is not always the best advice. And so sometimes I'll read in there. I don't go in that group often, but sometimes I will, and I'll see advice and kind of shudder like, I'm not sure you guys are thinking this thing through. And it's not to put them down. It's certainly not. They're trying their best. But in a situation like this, where it's causing you either physical, intellectual, emotional, or spiritual harm, where it's doing damage to you, which is what you just said, then it's time to do something. And does that mean that it'll save your marriage? Hopefully. But you do understand that confrontation can also push things further the other way. But when you get to the place where it's affecting you negatively, either in any of the pies, it's affecting you negatively, then you have to do something anyway. Even if it makes it push further away, you have to do something, because if you keep living like you're living, it's going to rip you apart. Am I correct?
It is. Yes, it is.
And so therefore, it makes sense to do something. It really does. And I'm so sorry for this situation. I wish I could tell you exactly what he's doing, but of course, we're only guessing as well. But it surely does sound to me like he's doing something. Now, I can't guarantee that, but the signs seem to be pretty clear, and I'm so sorry. I'm so very sorry.
Jenny, did you say you were
he tells me the
in?
truth when I approach it.
Did you say that you were in the Save My Marriage course?
I am.
Okay, great. So being in that course,
I'm on my third week.
awesome. So you're still relatively new towards the beginning. I mean, continue watching that material, going through that material as well. It's going to help. And especially you'll find a lot of people in the group, when they talk about it, they say that they've maybe even gone through it multiple times. But, Joe's given great advice for what to do for right now, but don't let that take place of continuing to go through that coursework, going through that material. It's going to be a huge benefit and help to you.
Okay.
Our heart is with you.
Yes.
I'm so sorry for the pain you're going through. I truly am.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks,
you.
Jenny.
All right.